British police have arrested 7 people and are searching addresses nationwide in connection with Wednesday's terror attack in London. 3 people were killed, 4 people actually, when the attacker ran his car into people walking along Westminster Bridge and then stabbed a policeman near the Houses of Parliament. Now, Ashraf Afzal is a visiting fellow at Nottingham University's Center for Conflict, Security and Terrorism. He joins us now live. Thanks so much for joining us. We still don't have an identification on this attacker, but what do you suspect was behind this attack?
Well, we know that it's inspired by what has been described as international Islamist terrorism, so almost certainly he's inspired by Daesh and Al-Qaeda, or one of those 2 organizations, and that's, I think, as far as we know at the moment.
And then, do you think that the real threat here now is that there are these types of lone individuals kind of waiting in the wings to carry out similar attacks to this one in the Berlin Christmas market, armed with weapons that can't be tracked, like an automobile?
Yes, of course, and it's interesting, this situation. We mustn't look upon it as a failure. The reason why these people have been forced down this route is because the intelligence services and the counterterrorism organizations have been very effective at detecting large-scale attacks. You see, the worst scenario yesterday would have been the marauding type of attacks with automatic weapons, the sort of thing that took place in Mumbai and in Paris, where many more people were killed over a longer period, which brought the cities to a standstill. Here we have one individual, and the primary reason why he acted alone without those sort of weapons is because the more people that he colluded with, the more people that were involved in the attack, the greater the chance of detection and disruption. And the more he used conventional explosives or handguns or automatic weapons, the more chance of detection. So this is part of the success of counterterrorism, that they've been forced to act alone in greater secrecy, using devices, vehicles for this sort of terror purpose.
But we do continue to discover that these attackers were known to police beforehand. Is enough being done, do you think, to monitor potentially dangerous people?
I think a great deal is done to monitor potentially dangerous people, but we must remember that we live in open societies, and unless there is evidence to put these people into prison, we can't put them into prison because we suspect that they have bad thoughts. So there is no such thing as a thought crime, and this is what makes societies such as the UK that much stronger. That they can absorb this sort of behavior. And we must also remember that London, more so than any other city in the world, has survived and strengthened out of horrors. I mean, during the Second World War, we had massive attacks almost on a daily basis, with hundreds and thousands of people being killed. And of course, we had 3 decades of the IRA conflict, where London, amongst other cities in the UK, was targeted. And London survived and flourished by being resolute, by not compromising the values of the rule of law. But I think there are areas where perhaps we do need to do a bit more and adapt our laws on so-called free speech, where ideologues use the British laws on free speech to spread the virus of hate, and they do so very carefully, avoiding the latter of the law, whilst deliberately flaunting the spirit of the law. And I think there, perhaps, there may well be some areas for improvement.
Ashraf, let me ask you, though, I've heard complaints from certain intelligence officers that they are being bombarded with massive amounts of data that include the surveillance of millions of citizens that really aren't related to those that would be potentially involved in attacks like this, and that they're not able to really focus their efforts on the people that they know could be a danger. Do you think that that might be a real problem in intelligence efforts?
Well, I don't know who these intelligence people are that you've spoken to, but the point is this, that big data, the mass surveillance capabilities that are available and that in some cases are legally employed do present this problem. But you can mitigate that problem through use of artificial intelligence and through a good human intelligence to focus on those that are most likely source of threat. And so yes, it is a huge burden, and we may well have to increase our intelligence resources to be able to manage it. But I think that the solution to this is a long-term solution, and that means dealing with the conflicts internationally that inspire this form of terrorism.
Okay, Ashraf, Afzal, thank you so much for joining us with your insight there from London.